What's good? This is Elton Anderson Jr., aka Detroit Chopra. And on today's episode, we are diving into something that's very close to my heart and actually really close to my soul, and that's religion. On a previous episode that I did called Limitless with my buddy Sean Duncan, we talked about religion. We dabbled into how his views on religion and spirituality changed. And I brought up the idea that some friends and family members have gone to seminary school, and it's theology school, or theology, you studied theology, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And they've gone that path, and then afterwards they decided that they want to take another route through their own spirituality. So today's guest heard that episode and wrote me a message, and I said, "No, we need you on the show because I would love to hear somebody's journey from religion to a more spiritual journey." And from what I know about her, she seems so lovely, so great, and I can't wait to get to know more about her myself and for you guys to hear more of her story because I'm sure it's going to be authentic and beautiful as she is. So without further ado, I want to present Hope. And Hope, what's your last name? Is it Brock?
Brock. Mm-hmm.
Hope Brock.
Yeah.
That's a powerful
Yep, like
name.
rock with a B. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Sounds kind of strong.
I love that. So
Yeah, thanks for
Hope,
having
like,
me.
no, it's my pleasure for sure. So Hope, I mean, first of all, I mean, I hear this southern drawl. I hear this nice.
Yes, yes.
So where are you from?
I grew up in North Carolina,
Mhm.
in Charlotte. And I'm in Chicago now, but that's definitely home, kind of the roots for sure.
Yes.
And I cannot get away from this accent. So I've tried. I've
I
tried.
love it. Southern accents just sound like Thanksgiving dinner and love, and it
Yes.
just feels like a warm
Yes.
hug. And
Yeah.
speaking of warm hugs, though, speaking of warm hugs, so you 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 said you were listening to the podcast and you've been like getting some things from it. And I really appreciate the message. And there was something that sparked you. It was almost like you were listening. You said, "Elton, that's me. I'm the one that went to theology school and seminary school, and you even worked as a pastor, right?"
I did. Yeah.
Wow. So tell us
Yeah.
about that. Like, how did you get into that? What did your journey in the faith and religion start, and how'd you get into that?
Yeah, it's really for me, it's been something since like day one. Like my parents are both pastors. My dad's been a pastor my whole life. So it's one of those things like just culturally a part of our family, a part of what we do. So I grew up in it and then kind of began to just carry on that legacy for sure. Um, and yeah, so then went to college for it, went to seminary,
Wait,
spent several years
I
as a
gotta
pastor. Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
bring this up
interrupt.
because there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There is a an idea of the preacher's kids, right? You know what I'm saying? What is it called? A stereotype.
Yes,
A
yeah,
stereotype of
yeah.
the preacher's kids. And it's like the preacher kids are the wildest, the antithesis of what a preacher
Yes,
is.
yes.
Did you ever go through that phase? Be honest.
Yes, you know what? I was always like, because also being a pastor's kid, there's like a very publicness to it,
Mhm.
like your dad has a platform every Sunday, people know you're connected to him. So I did, but I was very secretive about it. I was kind of like,
Okay.
let's not get caught,
You
shall
went
we?
alone. You were smart with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I just had to ask that, but go
exactly.
ahead. So you kind of were bred and raised in the church.
Exactly. And definitely felt like it was, the right thing for me. Felt a lot of purpose, kind of life's work in it, and a lot of the churches was a part of and worked at were really connected to social justice and anti-violence work, especially like here in Chicago and things like that. Um, which I think was part of my kind of continued connection for as long as it was for me. And then just about I guess maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, started feeling like it was just not for me. Like there was
Mm.
just, I think the church I was at was going through a hard time, and so it was really difficult. But then I think some of that challenge kind of allowed me to really think about, is this work life giving for me, or is it limiting? Just knowing really like something's not resonating for me in it. And really, I think it started from this place of I was realizing for myself of just not living life with a lot of joy, which I think is, kind of the epitome of what,
Yeah.
God and Christ and all of that is about. So for me, that was like a huge flag of there's something limiting for me that's not
Something.
allowing me to just live really joyfully. Yeah.
And it's interesting you brought up the word limiting,
Yeah.
especially with the title of the episode that kind of caused this conversation
It's
was
so true.
limitless.
It's so true.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think the issue with me, you can let me know if what your thoughts on this is that in religion, it takes God, like God is infinite. Like God is infinite. It's the universe is infinite, whatever, however you look at it, there's
Mhm.
infiniteness to it. And it's almost like people add an ego to God. They make him angry, they
Yeah.
make him jealous, they make him vengeful. And all I know is God is love and light.
Right.
And
Right.
so with with that idea, with just keeping it simple, like I mean, that's the simplest way to put it is
Mhm.
love and light. What
Right.
things were you seeing along the way that were like maybe red flags for you that strayed away from that?
Yeah. I think yeah, the piece of I think about it related to we tend to emphasize things about who God is based on where I'm at. Right. So
Mhm.
so noticing patterns of if I'm struggling with kind of my inherent self-worth and like believing in that, right, then I'm quick to see myself as bad, even though God is good and I'm created by God, thus
Mhm.
I'm good, right? But we tend to emphasize the things that are um maybe that feel more negative because that's easier to accept, right? It's easier to accept that um you know I'm bad or sinful or have done wrong things than it is
Mhm.
to believe in grace and inherent goodness and things like that.
Forgiveness.
So I think exactly, yeah.
And we don't forgive ourselves. I mean, I'll be honest, my relationship with religion was always strained because, one, me being gay, the old adage is, you're going to hell and
Right,
yada yada
right,
yada. And the second thing was really the idea that there was all these different religions. So it didn't make sense to me that there would be a
right,
Jewish heaven, a Muslim God, a Christian, uh, a Christian pearly
right,
gates.
right.
And it was like all this division because in my mind, even in my 11-year-old mind, I'm like, we're all going to the same place. Like it just didn't make sense. I'm like, if we die,
Yeah,
it's only going to be one thing, and we're just playing Russian roulette in a sense of which one
right,
thing to follow in this earthly body. And
right.
that didn't come up for you earlier. Like or did you just believe it just because that's what was put on the plate? Or did you when you question it,
Yeah.
were you ever like, oh, okay, I can't question it because I'll go to hell if I question it?
Yeah, no, I think I just always I questioned it, but just I kind of and I think this is one of the good things about, seminary and the schools I went to was being okay with this tension of not having all the answers. Like there's a lot about God we'll never understand. So I was kind of always okay being in this gray space of like I understand like what I'm being taught, but I that doesn't really add up to me around
Mhm.
exclusion or and even things that we tend to or people in the church tend to ignore, right, is that even if you look historically, like with Christianity and Islam, right, there's intersecting points way at the beginning, right? So
Right.
even suggesting we're worshiping different gods is actually like we can track it back in the history books, right? But instead, we function from this very like in the moment societal, political, divisive place, really is like, and fearful place, just fearing what we don't know and attaching that to our faith as if they're like one and the same when they're actually not, you know. And yeah, I remember like realizing a few years ago of just a friend who is Muslim, like having something going on later in the week and being like, hey, just y'all pray for me. And I was like, yeah, that checks out. Right. You're praying to the same
You
Christian.
know
Got
what?
it.
I
Cool, cool,
can.
cool. You know, exactly. Cool. Not even like oh, I'll do my way, you do yours, but like
Mhm.
literally like, yep, just checks out. It's seamless. Right. Cool. You know?
That's
Yeah. So I think for a long time, I think I functioned like, oh, there's, it's okay to be in the gray. And then realizing like, no, no, like, my thoughts are over here. The church thoughts are over here. Like I kind of have to, I've just shifted, along the way.
what
So
does this shift look like for you? So you said you shifted. What does it look like for you? I don't get the sense that there's like a whole atheist vibe going on, but is
no,
it more, are you exploring things like, I don't know, chakras and law of one and course of miracles? Are you open to the idea of reincarnation? Like where are you at on this journey now? All those things that may have been a
yeah,
little taboo in
right,
Christianity.
right, right. No, I mean, honestly, yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. Some of my friends are like, the Hope 2 years ago. We're just like, who is this? Who is this in front of us right now? Yeah, it's been interesting. I feel like it has been, talking about these like synchronicities or just
Mhm.
the um even just being brought to things at the right time. I think that has been so true for me of just being able to like yeah, just being able to look back and realize like I realized last week it was like maybe close to 3 years ago that I knew a friend who does Reiki, and she was like, hey, like I didn't know what it was about. I previous to that would have been like, I don't think that's my thing, and but she was like, no, just come, let's do this thing. And it's like a healing, relaxing experience. And just last week I was like, I cannot believe Hope 3 years ago like was open to that. So it's sometimes you don't realize like how open you are to things until later on realizing the way you've shifted or the significance. Um I think I would say it's been like little bits over time, kind of beginning with those questions we were just talking about. But really for me it was in 2020 for sure, just suddenly having being like quarantined in Chicago, suddenly having just all of this just downtime and quiet and that like
Mhm.
never had in my life before. Um, and two things super significant for me were one, I say stumbled upon, but however you want to think about it, stumbled upon Joe Dispenza's work.
Yes.
And so started learning about that and really just developing a practice of meditation, which has been, huge for me, and which
Mhm.
is his work is also connected to science but connected to chakras and
Yeah.
manifesting
He's a perfect
and
blend of like spirituality and science.
yes, it's like it's the perfect blend. And I'm very I think this is one of the things that's helped me even growing up really within religion is I've always been a very spiritual and intuitive person, but
Mhm.
at the same time I'm very logical. So I think his work is kind of that perfect little blend for me. But really something about, he focuses so much on shifting your inner kind of life around your thoughts and your emotions. And so even being at this place of what would it look like to live life more joyfully? And then for him to have this method that's like, and you can carry joy within you essentially like
Yeah.
24/7, I think. But from
And
this place of
gratitude. He
of
talks
really
about
like,
gratitude a lot.
yes, yes, so much gratitude. even, yeah, 100%. And so that was kind of huge for me. The other thing is I had a couple friends kind of around that same quarantine time. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd.
What's that?
So it's a I don't even know if I
Jinkies.
can talk about it
Like
well,
like
but
Scooby Doo
yeah. So
Jinkies?
it sound
I
yes,
was
for
just
me,
that
I
was a
was
dad
like,
joke.
okay, Velma, okay, Velma,
Kidding.
like, yep,
That was
yep,
my dad
I'm
joke for
with
the
you.
day.
Yep, exactly. No, it's like genes, like your DNA genes,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's a frame, it's like a healing um modality kind of thing that is, it's based on your astrology chart that walks you through. Based on that, here's like the challenges you might face in all different areas of life. So in,
yeah. Oh,
in relationships in your life, and romantic relationships, in your life's work, in your purpose in the world, in yeah,
I,
just kind
I
of like,
love stuff like that. Like, have you done human design,
yeah,
and have you heard of
yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah, I love
I've
stuff.
heard of it. I'm not super familiar, but yeah.
Yeah, get into
Yes,
human design,
exactly.
because human design is almost like a little bit of, it sounds very close to what you're describing with gene keys, as well as like
Mhm.
the personality tests like INFP and ENTJ and all that. Like
Exactly,
I
exactly.
love those kind of things because
Yes, yes.
it helps you get to know a little bit more about yourself. And you're a Scorpio, right?
Yeah. I
That's
am, yeah.
that's when's your birthday?
November 5th.
Oh, really? Oh, you know what though? That's so funny. So I have been, five is my number. I'm March 5th, right?
Okay.
And
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
five is my number. And the last three guests I've had have been born on the 5th of their month. Isn't that
What is
crazy?
that about?
Yeah, like December 5th, January 5th, and now you're November 5th. So just interesting. It's just, I don't know. I'm
It
I'm
is
getting
really
into numerology
interesting.
next. That's my new thing to get into.
You're just bringing these fives to
I'm just
wherever
like,
you
the
know.
fives is the thing. I'm literally like, you're the third one in like literally in 2 days. Um, but
Yeah.
no, with that, I want to go back to the meditation, because I think for me, meditation, I didn't start meditating until like 2 years ago, till 2019. And meditation for me has been, it's been a journey, because I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Just close my eyes, listening. And then I listen to Joe Dispenza's guided meditation. So I think that's a good place to
Right.
start. I use the Calm app, I use Headspace. So different
Mhm.
methods to learn how to meditate. And I think if you're listening to this now, um, definitely figure out different ways, because I think guided for you, did you start off with guided, or did you go right into just like the raw, I'm gonna just sit and quiet?
No, I did guided, which I feel like that really worked well for me. I think otherwise, my brain would just be floating around and
Mhm.
difficult to turn off. Yeah, and I think guided, because then you can really start to fill out like what you need at a certain day or a certain time. Like if you really do just need more like quiet and focused, or if you need, really to get your brain thinking about um, things you want to bring into your life, or aligning chakras, or whatever it might be. There's guided ones for all of those. So
Wait, I want to ask a
I'd
question.
recommend guided.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
recommend guided too, but I have a question. What is the difference between meditation and prayer, in your opinion?
So here,
Mm.
thank you for asking that. This just reminded me, this is where I realized this is what happened for me, is I just realized this whole kind of journey starting for me years earlier than I even realized. So when I was in seminary, I studied or took classes on like spiritual formation. And really it was just classes like took a class that had you focus on different types of prayer, meditation included, um, or even like spiritual direction, which is just sitting with someone else that's a spiritual person and processing verbally with them. So kind of a spiritual side to versus like therapy, more spiritual.
Mhm.
But um, yeah, so I think that was my first experience with meditation. Was I forget now what it's called, but it's like I think it might have been called sacred prayer or something like that. But you pick one word, and you just like you just focus on it. So you're sitting, in a kind of getting in a meditative place, eyes closed, and you're just getting your brain to clear and think about nothing. And should you realize, like, oh, I'm thinking about like what I'm going to have for lunch later, you like bring it back, right? So,
With that one word.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So if
kind of
my
like
word is,
chanting a little bit.
yeah,
Like the like I listen to Detroit Chopra, Deepak Chopra. He has an abundance meditation, and
oh,
his have you
cool.
tried that one?
I haven't. No, no, no.
21-day abundance meditation. It will change your life. It is such a good thing.
Okay. Okay.
I recommend.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start that next month. June is on the way. I think I'm going to start like the 21-day meditation
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
squad. We can all
Yeah. Maybe I'll do that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's guided, but
That'd
then
be
it's
good.
silent too. Well, I think when I think about the difference between meditation and prayer, I think that prayer is a lot of people are asking for something, and
Yeah.
with meditation, I feel like you're seeking within, and then it comes to
Yeah.
you, and
Hmm.
then you begin the manifestation process. What are your thoughts on manifestations? And like, I'm gonna throw out some words to you, like, oh yeah, let's play a word game in the middle of this. So I'm gonna throw out some words, and you just kind of say the first word that comes to your mind. So the first
Okay.
word is
Okay.
manifestation.
Create.
Ooh, okay. Abundance.
Ooh. Joy. I don't
Oh
know.
my
That's just
gosh,
what
I was
came to
thinking
me.
that too. Whoa, I literally was thinking, I was like, she's gonna say joy. Whoa, okay, we're in sync.
We got
Okay,
a theme. We got a theme.
gratitude.
Forgiveness.
Ooh. I was gonna say forgiveness next. Now you done threw me off. Now what I'm gonna do? What I'm supposed to do now? Hope. Okay,
Like
hope. The
podcast
next word
over.
is hope. Hmm.
Me.
Okay, faith.
Trust.
And love.
Mm, good. Like goodness.
Okay,
What came to
okay,
mind?
okay. All right, all
Hmm.
right. This is I just came up with that. That wasn't planned.
No.
But
Yeah. 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 I like this. I like this.
but yeah, those words have meant so much to me along my own personal journey because I was in a space where I didn't have really a relationship with God. I didn't have a relationship with myself. It was
Hmm.
so many years that I didn't have self-love. I didn't I didn't really have self-awareness because the
Hmm.
way that I saw myself was through the validation of others. So it depended on how
Yeah.
many likes I got on the Instagram picture. That is what validated me,
Right.
or how many, people slide into my DMs with a thirst trap. It's like those
It
kind
was
of
so many,
it
Elton. We know
was
it was so many.
so
We
you
already know. We
understand,
already
like the
know.
DMs were popping, and like looking back, now it's focused on how many people I can help. So when I get DMs from
Hmm.
people like yourself, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, first of all,
Hmm.
wow, thank you for listening. Like
Hmm.
just for
Hmm.
you to take 30, 45 minutes, an hour to listen to a podcast is mind blowing to me. Uh,
Hmm.
because everybody got a podcast. Everybody got a
Right. Right.
podcast, and
Everybody and their mom got it.
everybody and their mama and their pastor has a podcast. And um and that is, it's just, I'm so humbled that you would listen, and then come on as well. And
Hmm.
I guess I want to know too now. I just want to say thank you first, and then I want to know too now, like, where are you still a pastor, or do you feel like, where are you at being drawn to traditional religion and Christianity at this moment?
Yeah. 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 That's that's a good question. I mean, I actually would say, as you were just talking there about the validation piece, is what um probably one of the biggest things, like, we move out of, or that's kind of, healing and then freeing to not be in that. I think I definitely struggled with that for a while, about perception. If I, you know because, changing not only, my participation in the church, but that means career
Christians
is
gonna judge
changing
you
and
more
all
than
those things.
anybody else. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're gonna judge you. And
Right.
anyway, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. And it comes from that place of, we all have our, systems that make us feel like safe and like life has a structure. So then if you're watching someone step outside of the structure that it gives you, I don't know, whether safety or just like, okay, I know what life looks like and all of that in this, structure. It can be, I think we respond in this like what is she doing? What is she doing to step outside of
Yeah.
the system? It just is like disorienting for everybody. So um yeah, so I think that was probably one of the things, and still am, I think, kind of navigating it here and there because those,
So are
worries
you a
or thoughts
pastor?
kind of creep up.
Do you go to church every
I'm
Sunday
not,
now?
no.
So you step down as a pastor, and do you go to
Yes, sir.
church anymore? Period.
That's a good question. So I did before COVID. I
Oh
think
yeah, I
still
forgot it was a
trying to
whole
navigate it.
pandemic. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
people didn't go to church.
Yeah, and it's still, I mean, here stuff not really, it's barely back open kind of thing still, but um yeah, so I think I have kind of I've like slowly taken my time kind of detaching. Like I knew continuing to be a pastor wasn't the right thing, but I also, I think that like I think you asked me like I'm sensing you're not atheist. It's like I think what I typically what I think happens a lot when we're in like hurt in some way or changing in some way and kind of on a healing journey is, at least for a while, we're so quick to be like, let me just like go the complete opposite way or say like whatever this was that's not working for me anymore is all bad or all
Like
harmful or
like
all
Miley
not
Cyrus.
good.
Remember when Miley Cyrus was like, "I don't want to be a Disney girl anymore, so I'm gonna show my vagina on
Exactly.
stage."
We were all like, oh, Miley, like, come, you don't have to be Disney, but come back, girl.
I
Come
know, girl,
back.
you're doing
Meet
the
us in the
most.
middle.
You
Meet
over
us in
here
the
with
middle.
Three
Yeah.
Six Mafia, jumping on
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
balls, girl.
Yeah. There's going to be some regrets with all that goes on film. That's true. That's true. But yeah, so I think for me, which I understand sometimes why people might be like, yeah, I just got to remove myself entirely, or even why the harm done is in a way that's like, no, I'm 100% like it's done so for me. But I think also what tends to happen right as we're healing is we swing back a little bit where we can see the lessons we learned, we can see the good that's within something even if it's not the right thing for us anymore. And so I really I think just taking my time um
Are you healing from religious
to
trauma? Is it that serious? Like, is it?
um no, I don't use
Okay.
that
Okay.
language on it, I don't think. I think for me it's more of realizing like the limitation I was feeling, that allowing myself to being open to like what it might look like to move towards spirituality and all of that has been so freeing. And yet for me there's been so much to like, if work was there and friends and community were in that space, and
Yeah.
even just rhythms of my life, like that's what you do every Sunday kind of thing. So there was a lot to like reorient around. So I really just gave myself time to be like, okay, let's like begin to detach from it, but not just have to be like, oh F it or something, but
Okay.
also
So
to give it time to like reorient in what it'll look like now, which I don't actually have those answers, but just trying to like yeah, I think just trust like the process and how it's unfolding for me, and we'll
that
see. That's what I would say. Yeah.
yeah, that's the beauty of 2020, I think. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's the beauty of 2020 because it just led it was a really good time to make a shift. I feel like we collectively, as a collective consciousness, um, that we all knew we needed a shift.
Yeah,
And
I think so too.
that's what I just think deep down that we all knew we needed a shift. And
Hmm.
are you familiar with like the 3D consciousness and 5D consciousness and all that?
A little bit,
A
yeah.
little bit. So to my understanding, basically, like 3D is like the normal world, and sticking to the systems, religions,
Mhm,
uh,
mhm,
going to work every day, doing that normal life, and even having
mhm,
the same ideas, like even having things like anxiety and
mhm,
depression. And I'm not
mhm,
minimizing the effects of those those things, but when you start going into the 5D space, which is connection with your higher self, the idea
mhm,
of a higher
mhm,
self stuck out to me so much, because it kind of took this idea of big angry God or Jesus up in the sky,
mhm.
and it brought it down to me, because if nothing else I learned from the Bible is that we're a reflection of God, and
Mhm,
God is within each of us. And
mhm,
so when it made it more personal, I didn't have to follow what these people were saying in the church. And then I'm also seeing how they move. And I'm like, but you're a hypocrite. So I don't tend to listen to hypocrites
right,
because
right.
I know what else you do. And so then I found myself judging them for being hypocrites
Mhm,
when they're only being human, because they were judging everybody else. So it was this vicious cycle of judgment. And when I got in tune with the higher self, and when I got in tune with the more 5D way of thinking and 5D way of vibrating, I should have thrown that word
mhm.
in there too, vibrations. I should have put that in there too.
Yeah, that
But
should have been one. Yes, yes.
but when I get into that new vibration, then it was really, I learned how to forgive when I went
Mhm,
through
mhm,
spirituality. I learned how not to
mhm,
judge the more I went towards the spiritual plane. Uh,
mhm,
and I learned how to love myself, because I
mm,
couldn't love myself with the idea that me being born gay was an automatic one way ticket to hell. I could
mhm,
say,
mhm.
oh, this is who I am. And it allowed me to explore who I am within. And
Mhm.
were there things that you were able to heal in this last year that you never thought you could heal through Christianity? Like, are there any things that stuck out to you that you feel like sharing?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. Even just one of the things I realized is, within the church space, there's often the conversation of like this like constant pursuit of God, right? Like that's why we do, practices of reading your Bible or praying daily, and like are you in the word is kind of the language and all
Mhm.
that. And I realized that something that was incredibly healing to me is this idea of connecting to God within, where it's like um compared to just that constant pursuit, almost like if I'm not constantly exhausting myself and trying to connect to God, then I won't. As opposed to if I sit and I choose to like slow and quiet myself and hear from within, and whether that's the God within me or God meeting me here or whatever that looks like for each
Mhm.
person. It's just such a more freeing thing of the idea of like I already have what I need to fully connect to God without kind of this like I'm picturing like the hamster wheel of like trying all the time. It's
Mhm.
like um that you can just be, and that like actually leaning into knowing yourself fully and trusting just who you like naturally and authentically are just draws you closer um to God, but and also like who you're supposed to be in the world and what you're supposed to be doing, and just living with greater you know
Purpose.
um purpose and peace. And yeah, there's all kind of stuff that trying to think of bigger healing things, around. I think even just for me, there were just things where I would always, anything where I sense some sense of power for myself, I would really like shy away from, and just realize I've totally like have a whole different way of thinking of what it means to hold power, like within yourself when you know yourself. Or I think even really odd things. I have a roommate, and she used to comment on like, girl, why do you like put the mustard jar back in empty? Like, or why, the hot sauce is out. Why don't you just throw that jar away? And I'm like, but I was functioning even in this like the smallest kind of silly way, like with a scarcity mindset, right? Of like, I need, because I might need those little hot sauce drops on my next
Oh,
meal, as if you can't buy another bottle. Like just the smallest ways that like scarcity plays out in our life that I just don't do anymore. And I didn't even remember that I would do those things, but to have a roommate be like, okay, you stop doing that annoying thing to the fridge. I'm like, yeah,
oh,
but also, it comes up in other ways for me where there's just less stress, right, around money, or less stress around how things are going to work themselves out, or just functioning very much more from like this place of
okay.
trust, of like what will unfold and what's next, and really to be in a process that I feel like has been so healing for me. I'm like, how I didn't call, like I didn't like know that this was a journey I was going to be on. I don't know if I would have I probably would have been too fearful to choose it a few years ago if it had been laid out for me as like a option in the road or something. So I'm also like, how could I not trust what will continue to just, unfold, and
Wow. That is so beautiful, Hope. And I I really picked up on the scarcity mindset. That is huge. And so to heal that and
Mhm.
the beginning processes of healing a scarcity mindset is I'm happy for you, friend.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really happy that that was a big thing because that is huge. It's
Hmm.
so huge in especially in America because people just we just train to think in scarcity and we're trained to think
Right,
in fear. And when I look at fear
right.
and faith, I feel like they are two sides of the same coin because
Yeah.
fear isn't real and faith isn't
Hmm.
quote unquote real until we give meaning to it. So I'm just happy
Right.
that you found your faith in yourself and your faith in something that is helping to heal you. Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. So as we
Yeah.
come to a close, because I don't try to make these too long,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I really appreciate your honesty and your openness in this. And I want to ask in conclusion, like, where do you see this next journey? Like, do you have any books that you're like, I can't wait to read this book? Any people that you follow or listen to that have helped you along this journey besides Joe Dispenza? Just any resources that you've been using on this journey for somebody who may be kind of like in the same position as you.
Yeah. That's a good question.
It's okay if you
There's,
don't
I
have.
forget the, yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about the Vibrate Higher Daily.
Okay.
Um, I can, I should
Is that
look
a
it up to
YouTube
see
channel or
the
something?
author's name. No, no, it's a book. It's a book.
Vibrate Higher
But
Daily.
it's really good around kind of your, just thinking about like your rhythms and your mindset.
Mhm.
Um, and let's see.
Let's see it. Vibrate Higher Daily. Okay. I never heard of this, but
Um,
looks like it has good reviews.
yeah, yeah, it's like a really quick read. Um, by Lala Delia. I hope I didn't kill the last name, but yeah, it's a really quick and easy read. So if you're just thinking about how can I, like if you're thinking about how can I be moving into my spirituality, but I'm not sure how, I think that's a great one where she just kind of speaks to her own journey
Oh,
in
she
like really
looks
practical
dope. I
ways.
like her style.
Yeah.
Her
Oh,
vibe.
she's great. She's great. You should follow her.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I'm adding
she's
her
wonderful.
right
Yeah.
to this good old thing.
Yeah, and
Right?
she shares a lot of her own story and trauma and things like that I think are, people can relate to in their own ways. So that one's great. Hmm.
I'm a fan. I'm gonna add this to the
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
Thank you for bringing
yeah.
this up.
Add her.
And
Yeah. The other thing I would say is the that I mentioned before, Gene Keys is like GeneKeys, like your DNA genes, and then what keys you open your front door with.
I got them both. I'll put these in the show notes because these are both really
Yeah.
good resources. Well, Hope, thank you so much. This has been
Yeah,
just a
thank
beautiful
you.
conversation. You're such a beautiful
Yeah,
person. And
thank you, thank you.
if for anybody who is feeling like the Homer Simpson meme when he's backing into the bushes, you know that meme when he's like
Yeah, yeah,
slowly
yeah,
backing up out of
yeah.
out of Christianity, like wait, just let me just
He's
don't
like,
mind
yeah.
for anybody else feeling like Homer Simpson. Uh, I hope this episode helped you. And Hope, do you maybe people might want to reach out to you? Do you feel like sharing where people can find you, or are you kind of like, no, I'm done right now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm on Instagram at Hope Rock. It's just my name, so pretty easy to
Yes,
find Hope, and then Rock with a B in front of it. That's it.
I love it. Well, thank you for rocking with me. And again, this was great. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. And, you know, keep the faith, but make sure that faith starts within yourself first and then work
Mhm.
from the inside out and figure out what works for you because it may not be what you were born into. And that's all. All right.
Yeah,
Check you
yeah.
guys in the next episode. Peace out.